When you think of Bruce Lee, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Lightning fast kicks, right? Nunchucks? That iconic yellow jumpsuit? And yeah, you're not wrong, but that's just scratching the surface. See, behind the action hero was a deep philosopher, a true innovator who literally broke the rules. Today, we're going to go past the legend and get into the mind that created a revolutionary new way to think about combat, and maybe even about life itself. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the different things that shaped him when he was young and see how that rebellious streak led him to create something totally new. Then we'll dive deep into his creation, Jeet Kune Do. We'll also look at the almost superhuman training, both physical and mental, that powered him. It all builds up to his final philosophy, no way as way. Let's get into it.
All right, so every journey has a beginning. And for Bruce Lee, that beginning wasn't just one single rigid style. His genius really started with a mind that was wide open to learning from all kinds of places right from day one. This little timeline here really shows you the seeds of everything he'd become. At just 13, he's learning Wing Chun from the absolute legend, Yip Man. But at the same time, he's soaking up the footwork and rhythm of sword fencing from his brother. And then, get this, in 1958, he takes what he learned into a totally different world, a boxing tournament, and wins. He wasn't just collecting skills, he was already mixing them, creating something new from the start.
So, that diverse background, it eventually pushed him to a huge realization. As he got older and more experienced, he started to see the cracks in the walls of traditional martial arts systems. He saw the limitations.
And this quote right here, this gets to the absolute heart of it. After a pretty famous fight with a guy named Wong Jackman, a fight he won, by the way, but felt was just clunky and inefficient, Lee had this huge epiphany. He realized that fixed, rigid patterns were failing him in the chaos of a real fight. He didn't want to create another box for people to get stuck in. He wanted to figure out how to break free from all of them.
And on July 9th, 1967, he finally gave his philosophy a name. He just jotted it down in his planner, Jeet Kune Do. This wasn't just some new fighting style, no way. This was the official birthday of a new way of thinking about fighting, about self-expression, about freedom itself. This was the moment it became real.
So if Jeet Kune Do, or JKD, isn't a style, then what the heck is it? Well, think of it as a philosophy that moves, and it all boils down to one simple but brilliant idea.
At its core, JKD is all about the philosophy. The name itself means the way of the intercepting fist. So instead of the old block then hit routine, the whole idea is to smash into your opponent's attack with your own. It's about being efficient, being direct, being simple. It's a way to think, not just a list of moves to memorize.
The JKD emblem is pretty much a visual map of this whole philosophy. You've got the yin-yang, right? That's about balancing opposites, hard and soft, attack and defense. The arrows show that these two things are always flowing into each other. But the real magic is in the Chinese characters around it. They say, using no way as way, and having no limitation as limitation. That's the ultimate goal right there.
And of course, you knew this one was coming, his most famous analogy. When he said, be like water, he was handing us the master key to JKD. Water has no shape, right? It just becomes whatever container it's in. It can be soft and flowing, or it can be powerful enough to smash through anything. That's the ideal, to be adaptable, flexible, and unstoppable. But look, this deep philosophy wasn't just some idea floating around in his head. It was built on a foundation of almost unbelievable physical work. You can't be like water if the cup, your body, is weak and leaky. This nickname from when he was a kid, never sits still, I mean, it basically defined his entire life. Training wasn't something he did for an hour at the gym. It was constant. He'd be conditioning his knuckles while watching TV or squeezing a hand grip while driving. Every single moment was a chance to get better.
And he wasn't just training hard, he was training smart. Every exercise had a purpose. He wasn't a bodybuilder trying to look good. He was forging a weapon. So this drill, punching with light dumbbells, it wasn't about pure power. It was about building the endurance to keep your hands up and keep your punches sharp, even when you're exhausted.
He was also a total pioneer in stuff like isometric training. With just a simple rope, he could create maximum tension at any point in his punch. Up close, mid-range, fully extended. This built explosive, functional power that he could fire from anywhere, a huge part of JKD.
And get this, when the equipment he needed didn't exist, he just invented his own. This board, for instance, he designed it specifically for isometric leg exercises. It let him build explosive power for kicks in a way that regular gym gear just couldn't. The man was a true innovator, always experimenting to find what worked best.
But for as intense as his physical training was, the workouts he gave his mind were arguably even tougher. The dragon wasn't just made in the gym. He was forged in the library.
So I'm going to throw a number at you. 2,500. What do you think that is? Punches in a minute? No. That's about how many books were in his personal library. 2,500 books. Just let that sink in for a second. That one fact alone completely shatters the idea that he was just a fighter. He was a deep, lifelong intellectual.
And look at the stuff he was reading. It was all over the map. Eastern and Western philosophy, psychology, boxing manuals, even classic self-help books. He even read the entire collection of works by the philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti while he was laid up with a bad back injury. He wasn't just studying fighting. He was studying what it means to be human from every angle he could find. But he wasn't just passively reading, He was having a conversation with these books. He was underlining stuff, scribbling his own thoughts in the margins, and copying his favorite parts into notebooks. This wasn't about collecting information. It was about building his own unique philosophy, piece by piece, from the greatest minds in history. So when you put it all together, that insane physical discipline and that deep, curious mind, you get to his ultimate legacy, a philosophy of complete and total freedom. And we come back to this incredible line from the JKD emblem. This is the whole point. The goal of Jeet Kune Do is not to learn Jeet Kune Do. Strange, right? The goal is to find your own way, to get rid of your own limitations. JKD is like a raft to get you across a river. Once you're on the other side, you don't carry the raft around with you, you leave it behind.
And that really gets to the heart of it. JKD is a process. It's not a thing you can buy or master. There is no finish line where you can say, okay, I've mastered it. There's only the journey of constantly discovering yourself, growing, becoming more expressive, and ultimately more free. And he left us with this incredibly powerful piece of advice that works for everything, not just fighting. True mastery isn't about adding more stuff. It's about taking things away. It's about simplifying, hacking away everything that's just fluff, everything that's inefficient, until only the pure, simple truth is left. So, to wrap this all up, I'll just leave you with that question to chew on. In your own life, your job, your habits, the way you think, what's the unessential stuff? What could you hack away to find a more direct, a more efficient, and a more authentic path for yourself?